Now, I'm about to introduce the man standing between all of us and lunch. He's here to help us show some practical ways that other destinations have done what we're trying to showcase today, which is that translation of a higher level strategy down to the ground level. Stewart Moore, I'd like to welcome you to the stage, please. Stewart Moore is the founder and the Chief Executive Officer of EarthCheck and Executive Director of the APEC International Center for Sustainable Tourism. With over 35 years of experience across the Asia-Pacific region, Stewart is recognized as a leader in sustainable tourism, destination management, and strategic planning. And it's a pleasure to have him in the room with us today.
What a great introduction that I stand before you and lunch. So what I will do, I'll try to keep it a little bit snappy. I really enjoy all of the presentations. I did a Michael there. All the presentations here this morning. So what I'm going to do is just flow in to all the key issues that you've heard, but I want to break it up a bit. I want you to leave thinking. Easy to throw a lot of these words around. Compelling story, storytelling, what makes us unique. I've got a steak knife set for you. I've got some takeaways about storytelling, which we've developed with Tourism Australia for both destinations and regions, because life is about storytelling, the essence of who we are and what we do. Now, just to prove that I was listening this morning, I want to pick up some of the themes that, in fact, were put forward, because I think the key issue is they all fold together. So I like what John O'Neill said, the vision is still being shaped. That's exactly how it should be. It's something that's a constant. And I think in our industry, it's dynamic and you mature and you need to follow it and move it forward. One of the themes I have for you today is the whole nature of we need to manage and plan this industry. You can't leave it just sit there. Can I just, before I go any further, say how much I enjoyed that presentation from Coffs Harbour? It is very rare to have a CEO and a mayor dance together on stage. I travel the world. I've only just come back from benchmarking and certifying Copenhagen. The last time I heard a presentation that was that impressive was in Copenhagen. So I can tell you, you really heard a fantastic overview, because the key thing about tourism is it's not an add-on marketing activity to a region. We talk about the visitor economy. The visitor economy needs to be a core part of your economic, social, and environmental plan. It's a value. Just like sustainability. Sustainability is not an add-on, it's a core part of who we are and what we deliver. And I thought I got a really good sense of where Coffs Harbour's heading there, and I think we can all learn from that. We can also learn from, I guess, Uncle Richard, respect. One of the things in the case studies I have for you today, and I'll work through them pretty quickly, is it's about respect. We can do lots of things, but at the end of the day, we want to be great places to live, work, and play. We want to leave a legacy, and we can't forget that. I thought the Minister rightly this morning talked about livability. In all the case studies that I and we work with across the world, all comes back to it's got to be great places for locals if you want visitors to enjoy their stay. Livability is so mission critical to it, but you need to have a health check. What does livability really mean? And I want to open that up a little bit in the 3 minutes I've got. I do think that I guess, you haven't heard from Tim Jack, but Tim always talks about live for the moment, but I think this is about planning for the future. This is the context of legacy that we need to be doing with long-term planning. And I guess the other thing is, and Michael talked about it, is you want to be an aspirational destination, but ultimately, and one of the things I want to open up is the whole essence that you need to march together in the context of what you're selling. And I've got a good Bunnings analogy for you to move home with. And I guess the last one was just a throw-in. I didn't hear anything about the Olympics. You have such a big opportunity. You're only just a click away from one of the biggest events on Earth. So maybe as we progress through the next day, one of the key things you've got is the ability to leverage off that. So moving forward, I just simply thought I'd start where I finish. So what do we learn about leading destinations of the world? These are little places. They don't all have to be the Copenhagens of the world, but clearly really strong vision. We talk about vision, but you've got to have a collective and shared vision moving forward. But just like we heard from COFs, the whole essence that they understand the role that tourism plays in the visitor economy. And more particularly, they also understand the compelling story that they're trying to tell. And one of the things we've learned overseas is it's not just the fact they've got a compelling story, they're really clear about which parts they'd like to share with you. It's a two-way street. So there are some issues that, in fact, as a community, you like to keep to yourself too, including your own events. I think the issue there in terms of there's a big shift, even though I know you've got a very big targeted platform in terms of nights and visitation you heard from the state government. At the end of the day, what I hear globally is it's all about still livability. The mix of visitors, Michael talked about this, the whole context of your business of visitors is so critical as long as your leisure. The other thing is you want to have a return, which is the whole basis of yield. And more particularly, timing is critical given the seasonality that we face. So I think in the old days, it was only always supply and demand. It's a little bit more than that now. I think it's more about delivering in the bigger scheme of things. I've got a case study for you, which is Thredbo. The issue about Thredbo is pretty much like we heard just from COFs, is just the passion about what they stand for. It's only a two-minute little click. In this case, it's about their sustainability journey, and it's the story that they had to share. That's the two essence about, I think, what we can learn from them. And the other thing is the wonderful partnership they have with National Parks and Wildlife Service. We often forget, particularly in the context of the strength of your region, the importance of working together, particularly for parks people. And in the context of the parks in that Snowy Mountains in the Alpine region, there's a great story there about how we actually work with each other to protect the region. And then I'll finish, most importantly, with storytelling, as well as my knife set. So I've got some kits for you to take away that you should actually do when you go home. And I've got some 5 actions, which we'll make very quickly. So I'm going to move through these pretty quickly. Great destinations don't happen by chance. You're in a great position. I think I really like the strategic plan you've got from the state. I think it's worthwhile, and I'm going to just talk to some of those things. What were the guiding principles I heard this morning? Well, if I got it right, embed sustainability, ensure accountability and inclusion, foster collaboration and partnerships. This is the VES strategy, it's not me pointing it out. Drive innovation and agility, support industry, prioritise the visitor. They are very pragmatic. I think we can work with all of those things moving forward. So you've got a good platform to work with. Michael and his team and the board have a very clear vision for the region, although we know that's something you're constantly working through. But at the end of the day, the hard yards, they actually happen here with the real people who are operators who make it happen on the ground. If you're the ones that deliver the experiences, you're the ones that make people go home and think, I had such a cracking great time, I'm going to share that with my friends. So I want to actually talk a little bit about, in the moments we've got, is what would that look like and what does it mean on the ground to actually deliver that experience? There are 4 little building blocks. And you know, the reality of this, there's nothing special in any of that, except you have to do it. You know, we have to walk the talk. I think you get the leadership and vision, because I'm hearing that all the way through today. What's the essence about that? That you have to march with that together. Collaboration is everything. You've got multiple local authorities in the region. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was you all need to have and sell the essence of what makes this region special. That's how a visitor would see it. So for those local government people in the audience, you know, guess what? As a visitor, I couldn't give a damn about your boundaries. I really am here to have a great time, and I just want you to make sure I leave and I'm happy. And I'll spend my money here and I'll come back. I think you understand your markets. That's fine. But I do think we need to be really clear about the data we're using and how we measure and track that. And at a regional level, that's often a weakness. And I think the authentic experience is the very essence about the kits I'm going to give you, because as a visitor, you know what I want? I just want to listen to what you do as locals and what's special. I love the food stories, but it's all about the people that you meet. I'll move here into, so people don't travel to see a collection of attractions, they travel to experience a place, which is, I guess, the core part of one of my argument. And part of that is, I guess, you've got a new marketing campaign. I do love what the Tassie has been using us for 3 years. Come down for air. It's selling a feeling rather than a destination or a place. It tells a story through quirkiness, which I love. And I think we can learn a little bit from that. And then I'll bring up my Bunnings analogy. So no one walks into Bunnings where the job to be done is to buy a drill. They buy the drill to drill a hole. They then screw a hook into the hole. Then they hang a painting on the wall. Then they sit back in an armchair with a glass of wine and they admire that artwork. The job to be done was to admire the art. So my point there is, at the end of the day, people buy the result of those products that help them achieve the outcome, which is I just wanted to come up and have a relaxing time with my wife and enjoy a night out and the food, but you still got to get me there in terms of the transport and everything that goes between it. But there's a bigger picture there, I think, as a consumer sees it. And hence, this could have been Tassie, but the reality is the whole is different. You're selling the region, the context of walking and marketing that together. But when you get here, it's all about the things that you bring together and package. It used to be North Queensland did this well. They hunt as a pack. I reckon Tassie has got them on the ropes. I've just come back from Tassie. I love how they up and cross-sell themselves. Didn't matter where I was going. Someone was holding my hand saying, this has been good, but you wait till you see what's happening in just 100 Ks down. Ring them now. We'll get this organised for you. They deliver it for me on a plate, and I'll go back because I just love the fact that they were selling the whole destination, and they did it well. So what can we learn from some of the leading destinations? I think we get the vision bit. We have to march together. I think we get the partnerships, hence the hunt as a pack. Probably the thing I wanted to focus on was, what would good health look like? And I've spoken about this before, but just like going to your GP, the whole context is, as a region, how are we feeling today? What's the nature? Now, this afternoon, team will talk about how you are feeling. My context is, how's the region will feel? How's the community feeling? I think we can do better than that. But I've got some good ideas for you to take forward and some case studies. It is about investment, and that's what you heard from Crofts. You can never stay still and not refurbishing or refreshing. Anyone who owns accommodation or attractions knows you have to continue to refresh and refit. And stewardship is really about, I guess the big lesson is we're selling a future. That future is about the community we work within and the kids that were growing up in the region we're in. So we've moved to stewardship. I think we're moving to place value. But all those things we've picked up this morning, shared governance and legacy is the outcome which we're trying to achieve. So there's a maturity coming into industry. So I guess my point to you was, there was a time, and I've been in industry a long time, when it was a steady state. Things are nice and steady in tourism. They are not nice and steady anymore. It is dynamic. It's constantly changing. So the 3 M's need to come into it. We need to be really careful about how we monitor where the industry is at. You have to measure. If you don't have data, which you talked about this morning, you have an inability to actually manage those outcomes, and you've got to manage it. And managing is not having a 3-year plan. It's a 5, 10, and 15-year horizon, which sounds scary, but that's how we talk about economics. We can learn a lot from other regions in terms of what we're trying to achieve. By the Olympics, there's 8 to 10 years, just for interest's sake. So what would a health check look like? I've just picked Teton County in the US because we've been working with them on this, and I haven't tried to open it up too much other than it's a really good case book, and I've given you the connection point to see what they've done on how they measure the essence of how the community is feeling, what is the visitor feeling in the destination. Sustainability is a core part of who they are and what they do, in a good sense of what the economics are. Where's the spend and how is it delivering? It's a really good case book. Took them 15 years to do that. It just didn't fall off the shelf. But I think you've got to start somewhere. And for little businesses, you can do that too. These are very simple things to put in hand, the whole context of where am I now and how is it keeping to the context of my performance. And you could do the same thing. I won't say which, I just recently did this for a destination, but you can track health. It's just a matter of then how that's folded into the overall economic plan for the destination moving forward. So sustainability is no longer about doing less harm, it's about doing more good. And I wanted to share this case study with you, which was Threadbow. So there's a few messages in here. The first one is they're not selling skiing, they're selling a story about the community of an alpine lifestyle region. They're selling adventure, nature, community coming together, create memorable experiences, and they do procurement really well. so that everyone in the region is brought together in terms of the food and what you're eating and where you're going. It's a very good planning outcome, but it's taken them 15 years to do that. But you know what? They're measuring it each year. Good long-term leadership. National Parks and Wildlife Service, we've been working with the Alpine Parks for 15 years. One thing about parks is they understand the nature of health in terms of a natural environment. So there's a flow through there about the role that tourism must play too. It's got good evidence-based information, which we do have. Most of the stuff is there. It's just bringing it to the table, and it's about premium positioning. So for a bit of luck, before I put on the video, because I can't put it on, I just wanted to just a couple of comments here about what you should be listening for in terms of the video. So the words behind every unforgettable moment at Thredbo is a commitment to something bigger. This is not about a single initiative. It's a commitment to improvement for place and people. So remember, it's a compelling story, but it has a story to it in terms of its presentation. Can you put that on at the back for me? There's a frozen Stewart Moore.
Behind every unforgettable moment in Thredbo is a commitment to something even bigger. Today, we are incredibly proud to become the first destination in the Asia-Pacific region to achieve EarthCheck Platinum Destination certification, recognizing more than a decade of continuous environmental improvement. This isn't about a single initiative. It's about making better decisions every day across energy, water, waste, biodiversity, responsible sourcing, and the way we support our community.
EarthCheck certification recognises those regions who have a long-term commitment to environmental and social planning, but also a long-term commitment to how they measure their environmental and social performance.
For us, Platinum certification isn't a finish line. It's a commitment to keep improving season after season so future generations can enjoy the same mountains we love today. We're incredibly proud of this milestone and even more excited about what's next.
So it's the storytelling. So the whole thing about that, it just so happens that sustainability is important to them. That could have been anything. It creates wonder. It attaches an importance to what they're doing, that they're sharing. It connects people to place, person, including all of their stakeholders with national parks. It brings intellect and emotion, particularly in the context of why it's important they're doing this. It's about care, and it helps make sense of a world and create memories. And it's memories that you take home. Just the simple thing. We talk about the compelling story, but at the end of the day, you've got to own it and take it forward. So I'm going to move through Gomerez because we haven't got time to go through that. And I'll start with Copenhagen because I've only just come back from benchmarking and certifying Copenhagen. Look, I guess one thing you could learn from them, it's a value of where this fits in. It's taken them 15 years to do this, but the lesson that Copenhagen, the success was built in the fact that it never treated sustainability as a separate tourism initiative. It's a core value in terms of what they're doing. But the core part is the city was designed for locals. It was designed for livability, and then they've invited people into it. But the partnerships, which is why I was so impressed with the Coffs Harbour presentation, was where they all come together at the top table. They just do it very well. But they're never happy about where they're at. They're always looking at how they can better improve the environment for locals. If you haven't heard of CopenPay, have a look on site. I love the CopenPay initiative. It's inviting people in to be part of the community of which they're visiting and giving back. It's a really wonderful idea about how you bring people in to give them an experience. I don't have time to go through Mexico other than the fact that one thing we can learn from Mexico, and I'm just on the way there, we've been working there for 25 years, is that they have a passion for art, culture, events and cuisine that happens at a village level. Environment they could improve, but the arts and culture, we could learn a lot from that in the context of how they do it. I love their magic towns. If you do nothing else for today, have a look at the magic towns and this region we're in now, you've got magic towns. It's just a matter of how you bring the essence of the experiences and how that can be sold. So to finish, before lunch, is lots of people have got beaches, attractions, nature, local food and drive. Well, lots of people around Australia. So I think we've got to be really clear on what's our point of difference. You've got journeys that do connect landscape culture. You've got wonderful experiences. I think the thing you do own is health and well-being. This region drifts with health and well-being, with a stressed society who's desperate to get out away from home. You have exceptional biodiversity. It's just a matter of telling the story and making people part of that journey. You've got a living Aboriginal culture and history, which is people are really seeking out to become part of, speaking of the Olympics. You do have unique local food. Look, everyone's got food, but it's the stories that you have, like the people who are at the front there. They're after the simple things that make the food specific to this location, and they want to be part of that journey. It's just very, very simple outcomes. And of course, connection to people and place. And so if there were 5 things, and this follows Meredith's fantastic presentation, is break it down, start out with just going back to your story. Go back to, as an operator, what's special about what I do? What can I share? What do my neighbours share? How can I bring this to the table? I've got a whole template for you to use with that. This is what one of those things is called in tourism an evergreen opportunity. We'll be discussing this in 15 years. It won't change. The essence of who you are and what you can deliver is what people are really after. I think we need to invest and reinforce the story, measure what matters, I think is important in terms of having your measurement, which again, I've given you templates for. For small business, it's really important. You do it anyway if you've got a small business. This is providing a little bit more in context of where the visitor fits within this. We collaborate beyond boundaries, which is what the Mayor of, I think, Coff Harbour did talk about. Visitors don't give a damn about your boundaries. They're buying the essence of a holiday and what it delivers. I know that you care about them. And you need to embrace cathedral thinking. So cathedral thinking, the great cathedrals of Europe were built over 150 to 200 years. So we need to plan for the day, but we need to actually develop for the future. The essence of, it's not where we are now, it's in 15 years sitting here and saying, have not we done a great job on the basis of the key things that we felt were important? And because, and it's, the last side really is, look, the most powerful destination stories are not written in brochures. It's the memories that I take home. It's the communities they connect with and you share when you get home. It's the places they can't wait to return to. And I did have, it doesn't seem to be, I promised I would also put an advert for ATDW. So speaking of which, if you do nothing today, join up to this, because as a basic principle, Meredith talked about it, and so did Michael, it's the essence of getting you connected into distribution platforms and systems, which I think is what we're actually trying to do. Thank you.